Hey Leos, how's it going? Welcome to my tarot desk, where I'm going to do a reading for you about, well, we're going to find out what, because I don't know if this is going to be love, finances, career, travel, household. Since I'm shuffling it out right in front of you, we're going to find out together. But I will say that when I do readings, I tend to merge science, history, biology, medieval mythology together in one reading. So if you're interested in those kind of things, feel free to stay tuned. That's because when I read cards, I read them. Apparently, I read them with my children having a lot of joy in the background. Don't mind my children. They're very excited downstairs. But I read them through the lens of Arthur Edward Waite when he created the instructions on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And this deck that's beautiful that I'm going to talk to you about now is the Last Unicorn deck, which is based off of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So I will take a lot of symbology out of that. And if you don't know the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you're about to get used to it. You'll have a crash course on it with me here. Now, let's get into it, because when I see this reading, I'm telling you right away, this looks like love energy to me. But there's a lot of blindedness to this. And there's a lot of looking back on things that have been lost in this. Let me show you what I mean. First off, right off the hop, we've got the Five of Cups. Traditionally, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it is when there has been a loss that has occurred, like the spilled cups here at the bottom of her feet. And she's not looking at anything except for what she is hopeful for, but in a pessimistic way, in a very much like she feels trapped and feels like it's not possible way. When in reality, what sits at the base of her feet is the further opportunities that are going to be coming towards her. But even in this image, she's not looking down at what she has that's right in front of her, right? She's looking off into the distance because she's frustrated about how trapped she feels. Now, on one end, like I said, we're talking about like the idea that loss has been had, or with the Eight of Swords energy, this feeling of being stuck. Eight of Swords in traditional Rider-Waite-Smith way of looking at it is a woman whose arms and whole body is tied up while she has swords around her with a blindfold on. But I'm picking up this card particularly first because this is the first really clear depiction that we're not just talking about loss here. We're talking about the reality that you cannot see the answer to this situation. And I know when you come to tarot readings, that's the key. Everyone's always looking for an answer. But I mean, sometimes people look for an answer and they feel like they've got 4 or 3 different possible outcomes. They're like, oh, it could go this way. Oh, it could go that way. But with this many pictures showing up of eyes being closed, I genuinely feel like you don't even see one answer as an outcome. You literally feel like you're stumped completely with how this is going to unfold. Now, it was the Seven of Cups and the Queen of Cups that have the direct energy of not being able to see what the outcome is going to be, but the Fool card is also here in the reversal, which means not only are your eyes not able to see the outcome and your mind not able to see the outcome, but your heart is also being blocked for some reason. Or the person you're dealing with, if they're the ones whose eyes are completely closed off, that's because they are not listening to their heart. They're not listening to their intuition. And that means they're not following what they actually want. They're doing things that they don't want to do and convincing themselves it is the right thing to do. Their mind is playing tricks on them, ultimately. I also want to mention that these two cards both have symbolism about looking off into the future in this way that is less practical and more being in their head. Five of Cups energy, again, is looking off into this pessimistic distance, and the Fool card is looking up and away, but when it's in the reversal, it's more like flaky, like again, unrealistic and almost unable to see the risks or the mistakes that are involved in not looking to their heart or looking to their cups or looking down at what's already in front of them. Remember, the Fool card is about walking off a cliff. The idea of the Fool card historically is, I know they say it's about, taking that risk, taking that moment where you step off into the unknown. You will hear a lot of tarot card readers use that phrase, that the Fool is stepping into the unknown to a path he's never taken before. But the cool thing about the Fool card is the crux, or the ultimate facet of this card's meaning is not what's on the card, it's actually what's not on the card. It's what's right below the outer lining of this card. Because in our view, when we as the readers look at the card, we believe there's a cliff of doom below his feet that he's about to walk off of. But what's actually right below this cliff is not a cliff at all. It's a stepping stone. The Fool card is a path that emerges that they cannot see. Now I'm going to give you a practical example of that. A path that sometimes you can't see, but you have to walk anyways. Because if it's you who's stuck and cannot see the situation, or if you're dealing with a person who cannot see the path in front of them properly, they're going to. In fact, the Four of Wands is here. A path is going to be shown, and harvesting good things is going to happen for you. But here's what it's going to feel like. When you go into a new workplace, this is a metaphor for when you walk into a new relationship, or when you go into a new school building. Wherever it is, say you're at a new school building or new workplace, and you're in the cafeteria, and you've never been to the human resources building. You don't know how to get there, because it's a new building to you. It's a new path. You can see that there's a hallway down that you have to go down that you think leads you to the human resources office, but you don't actually know if you're walking in the right hallway. You begin to walk down the hallway, and once you get to the end of the hallway, you don't even know if you're still on the right hallway. You have to then make a left or a right. Right? And once you're at the beginning of that hallway, when you begin walking down this hallway, you didn't even know that there was a left and a right up there. You have to walk it anyways. And then once you get to the left or the right turn in the hallway, then you make a choice. And then you walk a little further after you've made your right-hand turn. And then maybe you see a sign that says Human Resources Office is a little further up. You still can't see the Human Resources Office. You still can't see the door you're trying to get to, but you have to keep walking. This is the idea when people say that you have to walk a path and you have to walk it, not knowing if you're going the right direction, but walk it anyways, taking the baby steps, but taking them anyways, and how valuable it is to do that, because it brings you to your goal, but it's very nerve-wracking. Walking a path where you can't see the outcome feels like, being the Seven of Cups, feels like trying to manifest and be a witch he's like over his cauldron here. It's like being a witch trying to make a magic trick with their eyes closed. Yes, you're walking down a hallway, you're walking a path in life, and you cannot see the outcome, and you still have to walk it anyways. It can be really daunting. It can be nerve-wracking because you want to see the outcome. You want to know you're going on the right path, but this is going to be a circumstance of feel it or have faith to see it instead of see it to believe it, right? Sometimes you have to believe it first in order to see it. And I know that sentiment sounds cliche or sounds like not practical. Nobody like genuinely, that phrase rubs people wrong sometimes when they think you can't believe it to see it. Okay, but again, in the analogy of walking down a hallway at your new work building or at your new school, you guys, we do this all the time and we don't realize it. We genuinely get stuck in situations all the time where we have to walk down a hallway that we do not know the outcome to. Or we drive down a road because we want to go. You're on the highway and you have to drive to another city. Same thing. You do this all the time. It's just that right now you might freak your brain out about it because you cannot see it. And it feels like you're surrounded by all the things that could hurt you. But the answer is there. The issue is time. That's the issue. The Wheel of Fortune is here and it's in the reversal position. So for you, the issue is timing, and it looks like it is going to happen over a bit of a length of time. I don't think it's necessarily going to be tomorrow this resolves itself, because when the Wheel of Fortune is down, you have to wait for the cycle of it to come back up again a little bit, but it is there because the Four of Wands is here. And again, in 1910, when Arthur Edward Waite created his instructions on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, when he published the book called The Pictorial Key of Tarot, and he spoke about the Four of Wands, you know what he said about the Four of Wands? He said, beautiful omen of harvesting all of the hard work in your past coming to fruition. And when it's even in the reversal, same meaning, still means the same thing. It doesn't matter if you get this card in the upright or the reversal, you have a good outcome with this card. And in fact, the last card that I haven't spoken of yet is the Ace of Swords. What every tarot card reader, even a modern tarot card reader, will look at and say, you've got good communication coming in. You've got awareness coming in. And in fact, the Ace of Swords, people miss this. It's not just about communication. Yes, communication is coming in, okay, when it comes to this card. But he's got a crown on his head for a reason. He's covered in victory for a reason, right? The victory that he is crowned in is mimicking the energy of the victory of the harvest that you get in the Four of Wands. We have two cards saying that your situation is going to turn out just fine, but you're going to go through a period of time where, or your person is going to go through a period of time where you can't see the outcome of it yet until you get a little further down the metaphoric hallway of life and you start to see little bits of signs that pop up. Now, why am I saying little bits of signs? Let's go into a history lesson, guys. Okay, we're going into a philosophical religious history lesson. This deck was wickedly made when, I know it's just The Last Unicorn. It's a movie from like 1987, but that movie is so symbolic. There is massive symbolic understanding in that movie. And whoever created this deck didn't let that go. They put it into the deck too. Here's the history of it. The reason I say when you walk down the hallway of life, or if you're in a hallway at the school, you're walking from the cafeteria to your schoolroom, you go left down the hallway, you don't see your schoolroom yet, right? And there's another hallway down at the end, you make another left, you still don't see your classroom. But at the end of that second left that you made down the hallway, you might see a sign at the top of the ceiling that says, Human Resources Office this way, with a little arrow pointing to it. Like in life, when you go down a certain hallway, you will start to see those signs, even literally. Sometimes you're just walking down a hallway and it says exit sign this way, right? You didn't see it at first, you will, and it shows up in these little ways. Life will do that where you will see little indications happening. So that's the phase you're going to go through, and that is showing up on the Ace of Swords here. You see these little things that look like fires? They look like little flickering flames. That's the Yod symbol. Yod, Yot, whatever you want to call it in the Hebrew language system. Of course, in Hebrew, it's said a little bit differently based on, or versus English. One is a jot, one is a Yod, one is a Yot, right? Your pronunciation may vary. But this is the smallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And essentially the story of that little symbol is that the rest of the Hebraic alphabet comes from this little symbol. That just this small little symbol holds so much power that it helped to create the rest of an entire language system. But in the Gnostic traditions, because again, Hebraic is like a Judaism kind of way of looking at it, but Arthur Edward Waite, by the way, if you don't know it, this is his book. If you ever want to know true tarot, look at The Pictorial Key to the Tarot. He published this in 1910. But in the introduction of this book, he mentions that these cards would be suitable to be looked at through the lens of the Albigensians. And again, I say it in almost every reading that I do for you guys. The Albigensians are a group of Gnostics who lived in the Middle Ages around 1200 AD. And the Catholic Church persecuted them. And their belief was not just that this little light, this little jot of letter was powerful, but they believed that inside of humanity is a divine spark given to us by the divine feminine. Yes, there was a group of Christians 1,000 years ago and 2,000 years ago who believed so strongly in the divine feminine that the Catholic Church massacred them. And, that sucks. But getting back to the point is, in those traditions that Arthur Edward Waite spoke about in his instructions, instead of viewing this as just a jot or the yod, if you looked at it through the lens of those people from 1,000 years ago who were massacred, it would be the divine feminine giving you a spark of light, the little light down the hallway that reveals itself as long as you keep walking a little bit, right? That's the idea. That's why I say that the Ace of Swords is not just a message coming forward to you. It's actually multiple messages. And you're going to end up seeing them as you continue to walk down the hallway. You get communication, yes. You get victory with this card, yes. But the lights begin to become more and more present. The truth gets clearer and clearer. It's not just you get one thing and that's it. You don't hear any more communication. It continues. And it continues to show up in a way that lights you up more and more to the point of your victory. Ace of Swords is an amazing energy to get, okay? Merged with the Four of Wands. Remembering that the Four of Wands for a lot of readers is the marriage card. It is the archway card. It is the 11-11 card, right? 11-11. But it is first and foremost the hard work that you went through in the past. You get to harvest that and celebrate it together with the people that mean something to you in your life. And share that with the people in your life and share that with your community. Okay, it's lovely here. It's a really beautiful energy to get. I love that for you. And it will get you feeling like this Queen of Cups energy, where it is no longer a need to work so hard at manifesting with your eyes closed in frustration. See the look on his face? But instead, the very same cauldron, you emerge from this energy within you. The spark lights you up from within. And even with your eyes closed sometimes, you feel such a breath of relief. You feel closeness, you feel comfort, and you feel that all of the hard work that you put makes you smile again. And the Queen of Cups ultimately gets her King of Cups when she's in the upright position, which means you have togetherness with you, with love, with family, with community, whichever it is, the kind of love that you are searching for. So when I see this reading, it could be a love reading of lovers, absolutely, finding a win in love. But for those of you, there is also a current here when it comes to community or when it comes to family. That's the kind of thing that shows up here as well. Because the Queen of Cups wants to nurture and the Four of Wands wants to harvest beautiful things, not just for themselves, but for people outside of them. So I wish many blessings to you. I'm going to leave it off like that. If you're ever interested in a private reading, feel free to get a hold of me. I do same day readings, which means the same day you order a reading is also the day that you can get a reading back from me for $20. Any 2 questions for $20. Or I have monthly readings if you ever want to look into your next 6 months to find out, when you're going to move. We can look at, are you going to move in the month of October? Or when are you going to find love in the next 6 months? Things like that. But if you don't want a reading, feel free to join me on Instagram because I love chatting. I post really regular things. I'm a regular human posting on Instagram about me, my kids, and when I go fishing or whatever the case is. If I decide to dance outside in the rain, I will probably post it. Or if I play a video game, I will probably post it. Because intuition for me comes from the bright child aspect of myself. And I love to stay in tune for that. So I like to just be a regular human. And I will see you over on Instagram if that's ever anything that you want to do too, is to just chat. All right. Blessings to you guys again. Thank you very much for being here. And ciao for now.